What's up YouTube, it's Taco Twans here, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got the Tundra and the 4th gen tacos in the shop here, and we are getting ready for the Rodeo X Rigs and Trail Wolves meet in California in a couple of weeks here. And we've got all the parts laid out here, and Twan's gonna go over everything we're gonna do to the tacos here. So what do we got?
So we got our first Tacoma here, which is the white one. And that one already has 33-inch tires, roof rack, bed rack, and rooftop tent. We just picked up the bronze oxide short bed Tacoma, and we're going to be putting on that one are these Kings here. So on this table, we have the King 2.5 diameter shocks that they just released. This is the very first set in Colorado as far as I know. So we're going to be installing the fronts, the rears, and then we also got the sway bar links as well, just to beefing things up. And then we got these massive 37-inch tires that will be going on the bronze one. And then we have the stock size next to that, just to show a little size comparison. And the white one currently has 33s. It's a little bit bigger than the stock one, which is about a 32. The white long bed Tacoma is going to get 35-inch tires for the Rodeo and Rigs event in California. So we're going to be taking both these here and the red Tundra with the flatbed canopy setup.
So the only thing we're missing on this King setup are the rear springs. So we're going to do this one with no weight first, since this one already has weight. We're going to find a different suspension for this. So for now, we're going to do this entire thing without rear springs, and hopefully it sits nicely.
Yeah. So the Tacoma 2024 Tacoma comes with a 2-inch rake from factory. So what that means is the rear end is 2 inches higher than the front end, and King recommends you leave these the way they came, which is set at 2 inches of lift. So that would put us about level on a factory setup with no weight in the rear. And like Tom was saying, this one has a ton of weight already on it, and it will be getting a camper setup. So the King setup, the King suspension probably won't be very good for this one for now, until King comes out with their own rear coils, or another company comes out with a rear coil for the back.
All right, so if you guys haven't noticed, all of our rigs have had the similar color style of wheels. They're all of them are RRW, and these are all going to be exclusive R4T colors. This one is going to be the brushed look, and then the one on the Tundra right now is going to be the machined. And we're just going to do a weight difference on a RRW Monoforged compared to like another wheel, and see what the weight difference is. So
we should measure this first.
Okay.
Just to see. So this
0.
Yeah. So the scale shows 0. It's zeroed out. You can zero it out again. There. Okay. This is one of my favorite KMC wheels. We want to measure this or weigh this. So it's a 33.5 pound wheel. So this is pretty average. Fuel wheels, meth is a little bit lighter, but yeah, 33 is pretty average. Now for the Monoforged,
Wow.
that's a 19-pound wheel. So obviously the price difference is gonna show in the weight, but these are also JW rated, so that they're street rated, they're super strong, off-road rated as well. But the reason why weight matters is for like MPGs, for you guys who care about weight, this is going to save a lot of weight, because when putting on a heavy tire, you want to save as much weight as possible, because the rotational force that the vehicle needs and the transmission needs to turn these wheels are a big thing. So with the tires that we're running, it's at 103 pounds. This is a very big, heavy tire. This is a 37 by 12.5 right here. And it is a D load rating, so we could have went with an E load, but that would have been even a little bit heavier.
You're saving like almost 15 pounds per setup. So you think about it, you're saving like 60 pounds. And then if you have a spare, you're saving 75 pounds of weight with a RRW Monoforged wheel compared to another setup. And 75 pounds is gonna save you a lot of gas.
Yep. So even though the Monoforge is going to cost more up front, in the long run, in terms of gas costs, you're going to save yourself money.
And these look way better anyways. They look a lot better, they're stronger. And if you guys look at it, all of our rigs, we got red, black, white. These just match any color truck that you put them on. It doesn't have to be like, oh, we need a black rim for a black car.
Yeah, it's a very neutral color. And here, hold this one. You can just feel the difference. It's,
Oh yeah, it's, yeah, definitely a huge difference. You can like
yeah,
work out with this one still. Can't do that over here.
yeah. Cool. Let's go air these up, put these on. So we got the front struts pulled out. We also pulled out the front sway bar, and we're gonna go show you guys why. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna see what the maximum bump travel is, so that way we can measure that. Make sure, or put on our 37-inch tires, just mount it here without the struts in there. And then we're gonna scrub it just to see where it's gonna hit. We know for sure we're going to have to take this piece off, which Toyota designed for us to remove and create more clearance back there, so there's no cab mount chop that will be necessary. We're also going to take the mud flaps off, and then we're going to see where it's going to hit with the 37-inch tires, and then trim accordingly. So we got the uppers and everything back in, so we're going to see that in just a little bit. So we are currently pulling the factory TPMS off the factory wheels, and then moving them over to the new wheels. So these aren't fully beaded all the way, as you can tell. So we're just going to push that side down like we're doing with the factory wheel, install the TPMS. That way we have that and we don't have to buy new ones. So we have the struts pulled out, sway bar out. We fully stuffed it. So this is jacking up the low control arm, and well, not fully stuffed, but this is as much as we can go before we hit anything. And this is with the steering wheel straight, and this is still free spinning. And this little plastic piece is catching right back there, so that's easy to trim. But now we're gonna test it with it turned, and you can already tell this is one finger away going straight. So we're gonna have to trim quite a bit. We might even have to go into the fender flares to make this work. So let's see what we come up with. This is a little view from down here. Fully stuffed in there with 37s. I think with a little bit more positive offset, we can actually be inside of the fender flares as well. This is everything that we have trimmed off the vehicle. So we have some metal fender flare parts, some plastic bumper parts. So this is the back side here. You trimmed it right there, about 1.25 inches off. And then we follow that line straight up and then just tapered it off. So that way it doesn't look like it's super drastic. So you can see there, just tapered all the way down. And then over here in the front, we did the exact same thing, but this one a little bit more aggressive. As you can see it a little bit more. Started right there, basically where that second fin is. We came straight down just because the front was hitting a lot more than the rear, just because in the rear we were able to remove bracketry that were back there. We removed that piece right there as well, the safety crash bracket or whatever it's called. Got that off, and this is what we were left with. We did a pretty good job trimming it, and then down here we trimmed it from there to there. This one came about here and then came over, so we just connected it so it's straight. And then with this, we would just pin it back here. That way it's tucked all the way in there. So now we will fully clear 37s at full bump, and then droop is not an issue at all. So we are good to go. And these kings are set at 2 inches from king directly. So we just left it, threw them in there, makes it super easy to install. All right, so here it is on the ground, getting ready for an alignment. It looks crazy. So let's check out the clearance in the front now it's on the ground. Brighten this up a little bit. So we got 4 whole fingers in the rear, and then 5 in the front. So we know the front is plenty good. The rear was hitting this guy. We got, I don't know, 1.5 in the rear. But this is pretty much at the middle of the tire already, so it doesn't go any wider. And we should be good. If anything, we'll trim that up some more. That's super easy. So we are doing one last test, which is the forklift test. This is going to be as accurate as taking it off-road and fully flexing it out. So we have it fully flexed out. So we have the King extended sway bar links in there doing its job. So this is the driver's side. The front is almost fully tucked in there. And then let's go take a look down here. So we got our bump stop right there on the axle. This side is fully tucked into the wheel well here, which is good. I was afraid when it was on the lift that this was going to be on the outside, but it actually tucks in there quite nicely. So this offset might be pretty good for this. Positive 12. And then back here we have a sliver of light shining through, so we might have to end up trimming some of the plastic fender flare and then some of the metal bedside as well. But there is a brace back there, this black one right here, so we will have to make something to either replace that or allow it to be moved back. And then the front one is a little worse, so it's contacting right there. So same thing, metal bracket back there. We will make something to allow it to be moved back so that this whole bedside is just not flapping in the wind. So we'll trim this later once we make that bracket, so that way this one is fully supported and it's just not flapping in the wind. But for now we probably won't be taking it and fully tucking it like this off-road. And then over here, obviously we're clear. And then on this side, we are almost to the max there. And we still have room here and even more room in the front. So if anything, just because of bushing flex when the tire's rolling, there's flex if you were to hit a bump or like this ramp here. The bushing will allow this to slide back a little bit. So there's a little bit of play. So we might trim just a little bit more off the back side, just to factor in that bushing play when we're off-road or just driving. So we'll do that.
All right, so we are finished installing the Kings, wheels and tires setup, and we actually just did a highway drive. It drives super smooth and the stance looks really good. Install was super easy. Everything just went in place like it should. I think the longest part was trimming the front here. Took us a little while, but other than that, truck looks good, rides good. How long did you take on the trimming?
I took a while, probably 2 hours, just because I wanted to get it like as straight and perfect as I could, just because obviously this truck doesn't even have more than 150 miles on it. So we just wanted to get it as straight as possible. There is still a little bit of trimming left to do in the rear, like I mentioned earlier, but we'll have brackets for everything to hold the liners back and to really clean it up so that way it's fully usable off-road. But it looks great and it drives amazing still.
So we had to do trimming here and here, but it was all plastic and fender liner. It's not crazy stuff you have to do to fit 37s like on a third gen where you have to do the body mount and all that stuff. This gives you a lot more clearance to fit 37s than a third gen would.
Oh yeah, and there's no wheel well right here like on the third gen where you would have to do a wheel tub and cut all that metal out. This has so much room, so Toyota really did a good job with planning for this.
All right, so this is the stance of the Tacoma on 2-inch lift without rear springs. You can see it sits perfectly clean like this, and we don't want to do any weight on the rear without the springs right now because immediately we're going to start squatting in the rear. So we're going to wait for those rear springs before we do any kind of mods to the back of the truck. And we're going to get some measurements to show you the lift.
So in the back, measuring from center of the hub up to the bottom of the fender flares, we're about 23.5 inches. And then in the front, we're at 23 inches. So we have about 1/2 inch of rake or so, maybe 1/4 inch, depending on how level we held that. But right now we have a tiny bit of rake, which is perfect. We don't want it to be opposite where we're gonna be squatting. So whenever King comes out with their rear coils or any other brand that comes out with it, we can get that on, and then we can start adding a bed rack system or whatever else in the back.
I think that is it for this video. If you guys are in California, make sure you guys go to the RXR event, Trail Wolves event. Rodeo X Rigs, Kings, Trail Wolves. It's gonna be in Corona. We will be there. We're gonna have a booth, and there's gonna be some sales going on and stuff. So make sure you guys stop by the booth, and we'll see you guys there.
Yep. See you guys later.
Peace.